Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. For more info, you can visit our website. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into today's video.
Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew with The Market Mindset. Today, we're going to be speaking with Empress Royalties, and they're a global royalty and streaming creation company that provides investors with a diversified portfolio of gold and silver. And it's a real pleasure to be speaking with Alexandra Woodyer-Sharon, who is the CEO and president, who we met up with just at VRIC just weeks ago. But we want to just let you know that Alexandra has over 20 years of experience. She started at PricewaterhouseCoopers before joining Endeavor Financial, this global finance advisory firm. Did investment banking in London, was a director of structured finance, and was involved in over like $1.5 billion of structuring with many companies, but some of the ones that are big names that I would recognize are Uranium One and Wheaton River. So bring a ton of experience and wealth of knowledge. Great to catch up with you to hear about what's ahead for 2023. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Great to see you, Andrew.
Great to see you. So you've had some news in with the uplisting just lately, which is always nice. You're trading on the QTCQX now.
Yes. So we were on the OTCQB. We upgraded to the OTCQX just a couple of weeks ago. So we really are able to access more investors in the US. And really elevate the company.
And you have like 17 projects. So you've got a diversified portfolio for sure. But it's my understanding it's like you're focused really on 4 right now, and you've hit some pretty big milestones and targets very quickly as well.
Yeah. So when we launched the company just over 2 years ago, we had 13 exploration investments, and those were part of our direct listing to be able to list in the TSXV as an investment company. And then we've layered in 4 investments. We've put $19.5 million US into the portfolio. The first one was, one of the ones we produced, the first producing asset for us was one in Peru called Cerro Antipite. So this mine was started by Buenaventura in 2002. It was purchased by the current owners who we invested in, Sierra Sun Group, in 2016. Over 1 million ounces have been produced to date. So this is, I think, a really good example of when we are helping a existing producer who's a private company expand their production. So with Sierra, they were going from 750 tons to 1,000 tons per day. We gave them $10 million. And with that, for a gold stream, where we're getting 4.5% of their gold up to 11,000 ounces, then we get 1% life of mine. And as a result of that, we're getting $2.2 million of cash flow coming into Empress US. And about $50 million NAV, and that's using our base case scenario of $1,750 gold and $21 silver. And that's that gold we get from Metalor in Switzerland straight into our gold account at BMO, and we have been for 1.5 years. And I think that's a good example in the portfolio of a producing asset. We have 2 other investments we made. One was in Mexico and one was in Mozambique, that were both development stage assets, and we provided the financing for them to continue and to get into production. And both of those now are just getting into production and ramping up. And then we have another development stage, which we're doing some drilling on. But I think our real focus is projects that are within 1 year of development or 1 year of production or producing mines. Our whole mandate is to focus on those types of investments, which will bring revenue into Empress.
Yeah, and you're moving quite quickly as well. And maybe if we could take a step back, because we deal with a lot of generalists, and I forget that sometimes, and we kind of jump into projects and how streaming works. But maybe that was a good case example to give someone an idea of, okay, what's a royalty stream? Like, how does this work? Can you maybe just kind of walk us through like the very big basics for a generalist if they're just saying, hey, why is this different from just buying an equity or just buying gold?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I think it's a small sector, the royalty and streaming space. There are more companies coming online at the moment, or have over the last 2 years. The basic principles is the royalty is where a company we invest into a company, And as a result, we're able to get a percentage of their revenue from their production, similar to sort of a record label or something like that. And then a stream is where we invest into a company and we're able to buy gold or silver from them at a deeply discounted price. So when I say we're paying 20% of spot price, we're getting an 80% discount on that gold or silver. So we really are very much exposed to gold and silver and give investors a diversified way to investing in gold and silver in that sense, because it's a diversified portfolio. And there's different types of royalty and streaming companies. I think that's important to note too. There's some excellent exploration prospect generating companies out there. It's early stage, typically inexpensive to acquire, but there's no, whether it turns into a mine or not is to be seen. And if it does, there's a very long lead time to revenue. Then there's a sort of second category of ones, and some do cross between all the three different types, but generally there's sort of three types. The second type being buying third-party royalties. And in buying third-party royalties, the returns typically are low on those types of investments. There's no direct relationship with the mining company. It's a pretty simple acquisition because the royalty already exists, but there's no ability to negotiate those contracts. And as I mentioned, there's been a lot of new entrants into the space in the last 2 years. It's become very crowded, part of a competitive bid process, and again, not be able to get great returns. At Empress, we're focused on the creation, origination. So we work with mining companies, again, to get their mines into production or to expand upon production capacity. We're able to create flexible structure that works the goals of what our returns we want, as well as what their future growth plans are. It's less restrictive than debt, as I mentioned. It's not dilution for equity. And we're really able to target our investment dollars into ones that we know will bring revenue into Empress. And I think that really does differentiate us from our competitors.
And you can be a great advisor, but you're also, you want the company to run smoothly and have smooth operations, but you're not also fall to prey to it as well. Like you're going to get top line, you're going to get your gold regardless. So that's one of the ways you can diversify some of the risk if someone's investing in your kind of company.
Yeah, like once we've got the royalty stream, we're not, the company, the capital, and the operating costs is on them. We're taking from the top line of the revenue, or we're taking, as I mentioned earlier, direct gold or silver from the refinery straight into our metals account. So we're able to de-risk it that way. And the companies we're working with, you touched on earlier, Endeavor Financial, we're really able to leverage our network and our experience in the investments we're making. So we have the direct relationship. I have monthly reporting. We have, in some cases, weekly calls. Anytime there's any changes, we know what's going on. So we're really able to mitigate the risk of the investment. We're all big shareholders as well. By having that direct relationship, we're not waiting for quarterly financials to come out from them to see what's happening. We know what's happening with these companies.
So that's a good segue. What was it that attracted you to Endeavor Financial then?
Yeah, so Endeavor Financial has been around for over 30 years, a leading investment banking firm focused specifically on mining. They've won over 20 international awards. So I joined Endeavor Financial as an analyst, worked my way up through the ranks, became director of structured finance in London, was based in London for just under 10 years. And Endeavor is a very successful team. I've worked closely, obviously worked with them, and then working with them now as our investment manager. The real concept for Endeavor, for Empress, came out of Endeavor Financial. And what we were seeing at Endeavor, and David Rhodes specifically, who's the managing director of Endeavor Financial and also our executive chairman, was that when they were going out to finance projects, there's some debt, some equity, and that the streaming companies that were providing the bigger financings were doing bigger and bigger ticket sizes and not interested in the smaller projects. So we knew there was a niche there that needed to be filled, and we knew that there was companies there that needed the financing. And that is why we launched Empress, is to the sub $25 million structuring the stream and royalty financings to really help mines get into production. And so with Endeavor as our investment manager, it gives me, with a small team that we have, it gives me a bigger team to be able to source deals, quickly vet them, structure, and be able to execute. So really punch above our weight for the size of company we are and the opportunities. And that's what we've demonstrated, is we've got a lot of opportunity. We haven't been in a competitive bid process to date, and that we're able to source our own deals and bring investments into the portfolio.
Before we start talking about some of the kind of revenue projections,
Yeah.
This is like a great period of time where you can tell me if I'm wrong, where for a streaming company, I mean, you guys make deals. I mean, that's where a lot of the value is created. And that's where a lot of the stress is involved, because you're going back and forth, trying to kind of model what projections could be for a project, how much you're willing to lend and what you're willing to lend it for. But right now, with the mining sector kind of being poised for growth in the future, but also the markets are kind of challenging, is that this is probably a great time for you guys to be able to go into companies and say, listen, we like this, we like that. Your terms might be a bit more aggressive, but tell me what this kind of market presents for a royalty rather than just a straight investment or just an equity or buying gold.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of opportunity. I mean, our business model works in when the markets are hot, when the markets aren't. Whether we are, for example, the Mexican asset I was referring to earlier, the silver stream, there's some depth, some equity. There was a portion that they needed. We were able to provide a stream for that opportunity. In other cases, they're private companies that want to expand their production that will make them maybe more attractive to list down the road. That's another opportunity we get. There's other ones now as the market seems to be moving a bit in the right direction, or a bit more enthusiasm, as we just witnessed at VRIC coming into the market, where there's groups wanting to acquire something and we can be part of that financing acquisition. So there's a lot of opportunity. For me, it really is making sure the portfolio is diversified and keeping that balance. We look globally, we're leveraging off our experience, multi experience as a team level and as the board level and with Endeavor. So we're Mozambique, Peru, Mexico. I'm looking at opportunities right now in South America and also Africa. And we're really able to focus as well on precious metals. So we're only looking at gold and silver opportunities. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. But again, we are selective. We go through a rigorous due diligence process, not only at the desktop review level, and we've rejected quite a few in the last couple of months, but we do our own internal review using our team and Endeavors. If that stacks up and we can get agreed terms, then we move into third-party due diligence and going site visits and really dig into the legal, tax, and accounting, as well as the technical aspects, and then it's documentation. So it's a pretty strict process that we go through to complete any investment. And we actually just recently got exclusivity on a deal, an opportunity in Africa. So we're looking at that closely at the moment. But there's a lot more deals I want to bring into the company, and my personal goal is to bring 3 investments into the portfolio this year.
Okay, excellent. And then, I mean, you guys just closed around not too long ago, and I think in that too, because we spoke, was Rick Rule was an investor in that round as well.
Yeah, so we did a small private placement in the fall to bring in Rick Rule and a few others as strategic investors into Empress. We've met Rick over the conference season last year, and we're very, very happy having the shareholder. He really does his due diligence in coming into companies, and we did a small private placement to bring him in as a shareholder into Empress.
So that's, I mean, that alone, I mean, if you're not sure who Rick Roll is, you'll have no hard time finding stuff online with him, but that certainly helps a lot. And he's got a huge following too, because of his career and the rigor that he puts into work, understanding projects. And that's a big kudos for sure.
No, thank you. No, he really does. He obviously has an incredible experience, an incredible career. But the due diligence he does into the companies, and even with some of his conferences, he says, take notes, ask the tough questions, research materials. He does all of that himself. He came up to us at different conferences and kept coming up with more questions and where he thought our strengths were, where there was possible risk. So very, to have that kind of shareholder is fantastic, that does their homework. We love that, and having that long-term shareholder support.
It's so positive too for someone who is, starting to hear about mining in general, mostly about the battery energy side, but they're starting to hear about mining, and they go, well, how would I know if someone knows this space? And I mean, they can look at a Rick Rule, and it's very easy without very much effort to see, oh boy, this person understands. And once again, you don't have to understand geology or how to read things. You could take to some degree that experience and go, this person has been in the sector for this long. They're very vocal and they like this project. It adds a lot of support to someone who goes, okay, I'm interested in getting into this. This person's done their homework. I believe them. I don't have to understand it. I mean, I have to understand how a nuclear generator works. I trust the science or the scientist that works on it. So that does bring that value to a newer person who goes, okay, I believe this person's been involved in lots of projects. I believe this and this. So it is, I mean, it's one of those things that when you have a name like that, it does help to make other generalist investors feel a lot safer.
Yeah, I think I really think it's important that anytime anyone's investing, that you do your due diligence. And Rick's got some great workshops out there, or classroom workshops that he does, that are available on YouTube. That I think anyone that's investing in this space should really understand the risks and the challenges, and educate yourself if you're going to be investing, as I do in other sectors.
Absolutely. One of the things too, I want to jump on, because we always like to look at this too, because it's just human nature. We like to look at like peer comparisons and look to see where you're at, and that it doesn't guarantee any future growth, but it kind of gives someone goes, oh, okay, I like this story, and where are you guys, compared to your peers, and is there even an opportunity for growth here? So that is sometimes a good chart to look at, and it's right in your deck on page 18.
No, we trade on a significant discount on all key metrics. When you look at our PNAV, the PNAV ratio average for the industry, it's about 1.18 times. And Empress, just using our base case, we're trading at a 45% discount to that at about 0.65 times. When you look at the EV to revenue estimated for 2023, we're at an 80% discount compared to the average of 16.6 times. Price to cash flow, the average is 25.5 times, and we're at 3.9 times. So yeah, we're trading at a significant discount compared to the industry and our peers.
Now, this might be a bit of a trickier one, because they're relatively new. Streams and royalty, they're a little bit new for this area. Does it usually take a bit of time for them to get rolling? Because you have to, time different projects. And once again, when they first started, the bigger ones would have had their first choice of, well, we're going to grab that one, that one, that one. So you're lucky because you have a bunch of key case studies that have gone forward very quickly. But is that also part of the issue with the royalty, is that sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get going, and once you get going, then you've got this, you can make up the difference. I suppose that's kind of where I'm getting at.
Yeah. So with the, if you look at, there's a slide actually in our deck that has the life cycle of a royalty company and streaming company. We're kind of in stage one. We're just establishing market presence. Again, we just did the uplisting to the OTCQX, and it really is establishing getting our name out there. We're a very young company, but with the revenue coming in, with our business strategy that we've demonstrated we can deliver on, and with the network that our team has for further deal flow, we believe we'll be able to quickly accelerate to that stage 2 rapid growth as the revenue starts to come in and as we bring more investments into the pipeline.
And especially in tough markets, people are actually starting to look at even tech fundamentally now, instead of just wild growth. It's like, do you have revenue? And so any company that could bring in revenue, I think people are going to be back to that model of like, where's value? Do you have cash flow? Do you have any of these types of things? And that's where you guys can have a massive growth opportunity and story, but you'll have revenue streams, which I think is a very positive.
Yeah, and it's again, we're focused on quality over quantity. We do just have 17 investments in the portfolio at the moment. We are looking to grow that out, but with the expiration portfolio that we have, we don't put any value. We don't include that in our NAV. We want to know that they are close to production, or close to bringing us revenue before we make any investments, because that is truly where the real value comes, is having the cash coming in the company and being able to get to that point in about 18 months. When the revenue is seriously coming in, to be able to establish a dividend policy as well.
So maybe kind of let us know here. We talked a bit about some of your investment cases kind of thing, but what's your kind of path to rapid growth? I mean, that's what people want to hear, is like, how are we going to grow this like fast?
And steady.
Yes, fast and steady, and no pressure.
Where we've invested $19.5 million to date into the portfolio. Our forecasted revenue at current prices over the next 5 years is over $50 million. Our net asset value is $47 million. And our market cap is just under $30 million US right now. So again, we're trading a significant discount with lots of opportunity to grow. And again, for us, it really is getting out there and creating market awareness, and talking with individuals like yourself and your audiences, and telling our story.
One of the things we always like to ask people is there urgency, or is there any milestones coming up? And you do have some near-term catalysts that are on the horizon.
Yes, absolutely. Sierra is the one in Peru, the producer. They're increasing their capacity, which will bring in more revenue. Talahueta, which is our one in Silver Stream in Mexico, they're increasing. They've got the first 500 bulk mill coming online now, and the second one later this year. That will increase the silver credits, or the revenue coming in from silver to Empress. Then we have the one in Mozambique, the Manica project. We're getting a gold royalty on that. That's increasing their production. They're fully ramping up as well. So there's a lot of increase in revenue that'll be happening in 2023. And that's if we did nothing else. We're forecasting $7 million US in revenue at current prices, just based upon those three. But we have an active pipeline. We've just got exclusivity on one. There's a couple others that are getting very close as well. And if they stack up technically the way we believe they will, then we're bringing further investments into the portfolio and expanding it and demonstrating again that we can continue to build this portfolio of cash producing assets, bringing in revenue into Empress, and again, being able to get to a point where we can establish a dividend policy for our shareholders.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for filling us in on how this works. Also, the opportunity ahead. We always like to look for companies that have that potential for growth and have the team and are looking at projects that are near term. So I appreciate that. We're going to be watching as well for keeping an eye on these near term catalysts. And we look forward to any news release, or also, catching up with you as well in the near future to see how things are going.
No, thank you so much. It was lovely chatting with you as always. And I look forward to coming back when we've got some news out, and hopefully talking about some new investments we put into the portfolio.
Excellent. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.